Right, folks, read two previous postings. I've got something of an apology, although it isn't really an apology because I don't think I've done anything wrong, but still, I'm going to sort of apologise. And I've got one point to clear up, really, just to explain something. Again, I don't think I need to explain it, but I'm going to, because that's the way I roll, and I'm inclined to do it. Right, did a couple of postings lately. One was on, I think it's John Squire, guitarist in, I can't remember the name of the band, it'll come to me in a moment. Stone Roses, I think. Ian Brown's the singer, John Squire the guitarist. Regarding something Liam Gallagher said the other day, which many have said has been quoted just to put his own brother Noel's nose out of joint, which I think it probably was in a roundabout way. Anyway, he was saying that he's doing a collaboration shortly with John Squire, guitarist in question, who for his money is the best guitarist of his generation. In fact, for his money, he's probably the best guitarist of all time. I poo-pooed that notion. I probably guessed he wasn't in the top 50 of all time. And I probably still think that. But I'm coming at it from a wrong angle in that, really, if you're saying something, you should be able to back it up. And I can't really back that up. Reason being is, I've never really listened to John Squire's stuff. I know a couple of songs from the Stone Roses. One of them, the most well-known one's got a cracking beat, cracking rhythm. Can't think of a guitar part in there at all. But it's a cracking beat, cracking rhythm. Spoilt for me a little bit when Ian Brown starts to sing, because I just don't think Ian Brown can sing. And I'm not knocking him for the sake of knocking him, because he's from my hometown or that kind of area, and I don't like to knock one of my own, but I don't see him as a great singer. But I know he's well loved. I know that a band that the young ones that follow him really follow him and are really passionate about, and I admire that in anybody. But John Squire, I don't really know. I know the fella from the Smiths a little bit more. Is it Johnny Marr? I think it is. Like some of his guitar work. Again, I probably wouldn't have him in the top 50, but there's a couple of riffs, a couple of leads he's done that I've really, really liked. I'm a rocker from the late 70s, the classic rock era, and I think all the best guitarists, or the bulk of them, were around then. Some of them are still going now, obviously. They're getting a bit ancient, but they're good at the craft. But anyway, I've had a few messages on behalf of John Squire. It's created a bit of interest, and I've quite liked it. And I've liked it because the messages have all been positive, all been good, mainly backing John Squire and telling me how great he is. I've even had one fan of the band who loves John Squire said, yeah, he's great, the band are great, but you're right, the singer's crap. But we like him, and I thought, and that's refreshing, that's really good. I had another guitarist telling me that, you know, he's taught himself guitar and he's learnt guitar on the back of John Squire, and I thought that was fantastic. I actually went on the guy's playlist and see the stuff on his playlist, and there's some songs on there that I really like as well, but many that I don't know. And I said to this guy in a pretty long message, look, I shouldn't be having a pop at Mr. Squire because I don't really know him. I've not listened to much of his stuff. And so there's the slight apology. I mean, I probably wouldn't have him in the top 50 guitarists of all time. I definitely wouldn't have him as the best, as Liam did, but I think that's probably partly a bit tongue-in-cheek by Liam, but as much as anything else, him not knowing who great guitarists are, because he doesn't know much, Liam, other than to wear a parka, put his hands behind his back, and rant on. Now we'll go from John Squire to the Sports Personality of the Year. Now we've had a good few messages there. That's got a bit of traction as well by my standards on my channel, because as I've said before, it's a small channel. Now let me say this, I lost one subscriber based on that, but that's fine. If people leave because they don't agree with what I say, they're probably not the kind of people I want following me anyway. I do that many subjects, that range of subjects. Most people that I talk about on here, I'm knocking, I'm bringing down. Some are bum up, some I say are brilliant, blah, 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 because I really think they are. If there's people out there that are doing a brilliant job or are brilliant at what they do, I want to shout it from the rooftops. But, by an even bigger token, if there's people out there earning absolutely fortunes who've got no talent whatsoever, I love to talk about them and I love to knock them. Nothing nasty. I don't wish hurt, disease or death on them or anything like that. I've not got a bad bone in my body. But I hate people that are making a fortune with no talent, especially when there's probably lots of people just behind them with loads of talent that can't get a break. That does my heading. Heading. I don't mind what anybody earns. There's no jealousy with me at all. I don't mind them earning fortunes if they're brilliant at what they do. In fact, on that tap, we'll go to sports personality and what I've just said there. And I wasn't even going to mention that when I did the sports personality bit. But yeah, this lady has won the sports personality in early on this week. And as I put on my thumbnail there, is she called Mary Earps? Mary Earps, I think she is. It may have been as well be White Earp for me, because I don't know who Mary Earp is or Mary Earps is. Don't know it at all. And as I say, I've lost this one subscriber probably because they think I don't like Mary Earp, or mainly because they think I'm a male chauvinist and all that palaver, and that I hate women or whatever else. Look at my videos about women and how they're treated. I've got nothing against women whatsoever, and I'm a fervent backer of women, especially oppressed women. And I don't think there's any woman in the world that's any worse than any bloke. We're all, for me, on a level and even footing, or should be. I don't look down on anybody, any race, any colour, any creed, anything whatsoever, or any sex, be it male, female, bit of both. I don't care what you are. We're all on an even or level playing field, or we should be. That's how we start off, in my mind, and none should be treated any differently. But the sports personality that was picked, and this Mary Earp, I think her name's Mary Earp, has won it. I didn't know her, didn't know who she was. I know there's an England goalkeeper. As I said on the thing I did, I seen a couple of highlights of her before. I think I seen a couple of bits from the Euros when they won the Euros. And as I said in the piece that I did earlier this week, I seen a couple of instances where she'd take a cross from a corner or from a free kick, and she'd just gather the ball, fall on the floor on top of the ball, and they'd all come patting her on the back as though she'd done something wonderful. And I thought, she's only caught the ball, and it wasn't even difficult. And I thought, what's all this all about? But you see, folks, my problem isn't with women. My problem, then, it's not a problem, is women's football. I'm just not into it. I've never been into it. I never will, because I know it's nothing I'm ever going to watch. And it doesn't interest me. There's nothing there that makes me want to watch it. And even if England start winning things, I'm still not going to watch it. It's of no interest to me. I do have one slight problem with it. I have a problem in that the women's game is doing fantastically well. I think it's been sponsored by Barclays. I've said this in a very early piece months ago. I love rugby league. I think rugby league's probably the greatest game in the world, and if it's not, it's definitely one of them. It's played by proper athletes, proper men who act like men, and who, when they've finished knocking 7 bells out to one another, meet each other in the bar later on for a drink together. Proper, grounded, proper people. There's some rugby league players that are some of the greatest athletes in the world. They get paid absolutely buttons, and I mean buttons, when you compare them to the men's football game. But they're getting one hell of a lot less than the best women in the women's football game now. And that hurts me, because I think rugby league played by men at the top end of the tree are far superior athletes to the women that play women's football. I think it's a far better game than the game that women play when they play women's football. I think they just, everything about it and them is better. And I just feel awful that sport, because it's northern based and it hasn't got the fan base that other sports have, they'll never have the kind of money that women's footballers have, and I just think it's wrong. But that's just me. Back to Mary, I think it's Mary Earps. I've not even got it wrote down, so I may be wrong, but the right name will go in the thumbnail probably. I mean, I say it might as well be White Earp for me. It might as well be. But a couple of people have been on the website and said she's crap, she's this, she's that, she's the other. She doesn't deserve it, this, that, and the other. I know Joey Barton has called her a sack of spuds, blah, blah. Well, I'm not going to add in any way, shape or form. I've got nothing against this Mary Earps, because I barely know her, as I say. The thing with Mary Earps and me is, if somebody says to me in 10 years, what was the name of that goalkeeper that played for England when they won the Euros, I would not remember her name. In 10 years' time, I won't remember her name. And the reason I won't remember her name is because I barely know her now, and I've got no interest in the sport, so it won't stay with me. If somebody says to me in 10 years' time, who's Mary Earps, do you remember her? I'll remember she was Bert's personality. I will remember that. But I wouldn't remember her name without somebody telling me a name and saying, or saying, do you remember who was Bert's personality? And I'd say, well, it was that goalkeeper who played for England. Maybe I can't remember her name. And if you give me 5 choices, I'd get it straight away. So that way I'd know it. But if somebody in 10 years' time says to me, who's Mary Earps, and don't mention the sports personality, or don't mention goalkeeping and stuff, I wouldn't know who she is. And, I never have known, and I never will. A couple of people have said it's been rigged by the BBC. Well, I'm not so sure it has, and I've wrote that down, only because she's been the bookies' favourite for about 3 or 4 months. I think they've had loads and loads of money come into the bookies, because loads and loads of people now watch women's football. Women primarily, but also lots of men. And I think loads of people have piled in on her, and the bookies have known that she's sort of one of the favourites because of the volume of money that they've had on and the amount of people that place bets. Based on that, the BBC have had her as one of the favourites, but I think it's down to people betting on her. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it's down to. So some have said it's a fix by the Beeb. I don't agree. I don't think it is at all. Some are saying she's absolutely crap. Well, she may be a good goalkeeper. I don't know. But some have said, and this is the bit that I get, some have said, well, She's got it. What's she got it for? She's not won anything. They won the Euros, but that was over a year ago now, I think. They did get to the World Cup final, but they didn't win it. And even though they got there, why should she get it? Maybe the team could have got it, but is she the best player on the team? Is she the standout player? Now, I've said to that, maybe she's won the Sports Personality of the Year because she's a massive personality. She may well be, and again, I don't know whether or not she is, because I don't follow her, I don't know her. But it is called Sports Personality, and personality should be a big part of it. But not also, how I've been brought up, the best sportsman or one of the best sportsmen of the year has always won it. And when you put her in the list of the sportsmen that have won it, I would suggest she's probably the worst sportsperson that's ever won it in its entirety. When I say the worst, as in her achievements and how good she is in her sporting field, I would imagine there's been much better than her over the years. I can name you 30, 40, 50 people that have never ever won it that are much better than this young lady, for all I don't know the young lady. So it's nothing sexist at all. I've nothing against women. I've nothing against women's football, but I've never watched it and I don't particularly like it. I didn't know who the girl was. I'm never likely to know. I mean, in the 5 that were against her, I would have given any of the 5 before her. If you told me she was one of the 6 in there, I would have placed her 6th. Again, as I mentioned in an earlier video today, and I seen it in a newspaper yesterday, I think it was, somebody has said, how on earth should that lady win it? Why did they not give it to Kevin Sinfield? Now, Sinfield wasn't even in the 6. He doesn't play professional sports anymore, but he does normally coach. He's just left the England Rugby Union set up, but he's going to be coaching again Rugby Union or Rugby League sometime this year, and he's never left the sports. And for me, that would be a fantastic, what do you say, shout? What a shout that would have been. Now, if he'd have been in the 6, I think he would have won it after what he's just done, on top of everything else he's done. And on reflection, he should have been in the 6. They tend to give it to people who are partaking in sport now, who are actually playing sport. But really, when you look at sports personality, sporting achievements and personality, for me, he's got it nailed, completely nailed, because he's got everything. He should have won it this year, not her. He should have won it. He wasn't in it, she was. But even though there was 6 in the final, I would have placed her 6th. Because for me, she's won nothing. She's not particularly standout brilliant. I wouldn't have thought she is. And, you know, for all they've won nothing and yet got to a final, was she by far and away the best player on the team? I think didn't they have a player who got sent off once and missed a game or 2? Weren't she supposed to be the standout player? She never even made the 6. Anyway, they're my thoughts. So nothing against women, nothing against them at all, nothing against what she plays, nothing against the colour of the skin, nothing against the lady in particular. But as I say, it really could have been Wyatt Earp for me. It wouldn't have bothered me if it was Wyatt Earp. You know, I know as much about Wyatt Earp as I know about Mary Earps. Again, I hope it is Mary, because I'm going to research it in a minute when I do the thumbnail. I'm pretty sure that's the name, but I've not wrote it down on. I have a little board there where I have the odd prompts now and again to look at, but it's not on there now. But I'm pretty sure it was Mary Earps. Anyway, that's it from me, and that might be it for the day, to be honest with you. That might be all I've got today.